Gas prices in America just hit a shocking new high as Canada cuts off $103 billion worth of oil exports to the United States. This isn't just another trade spat, it's an economic earthquake that's sending the Dow Jones plummeting and leaving Trump scrambling for answers. In this video, I'll show you exactly why Canada finally took this dramatic step, how it's already affecting everyday Americans at the pump, and what this means for the future of energy in North America. The consequences are far more serious than most people realize. The economic earthquake, gas prices explode as Canada pulls the plug. Imagine waking up tomorrow to find gas prices 40% higher than today. That's exactly what millions of Americans are experiencing right now after Canada's unprecedented move against US energy markets. Gas stations across the country are displaying eye-watering prices that seemed impossible just days ago, with some regions seeing regular unleaded soaring past $6 per gallon. The immediate panic is palpable as Americans face not just a pinch at the pump, but a full-blown economic body blow. This isn't your typical market fluctuation or temporary disruption. Canada has completely cut off its massive oil pipeline system to the United States, in a move that's sending shockwaves through the entire North American energy ecosystem. We're talking about 4.3 million barrels of crude oil daily. That's enough to fill over 270 Olympic-sized swimming pools every single day, suddenly vanishing from America's energy supply. The immediate impacts are catastrophic and spreading faster than analysts predicted. States most dependent on Canadian imports are already experiencing rolling blackouts as electricity providers struggle to maintain consistent service. New York's grid operators have implemented emergency protocols, cutting power to suburban areas for 4 to 6 hours daily to preserve critical infrastructure. California's already fragile power network has completely collapsed in several counties, while Michigan factories face production shutdowns that could become permanent if solutions aren't found within weeks. What's particularly alarming is the breathtaking speed of this crisis. In Minnesota, electricity prices doubled within 72 hours of Canada's announcement. By comparison, even during the 1970s oil embargo, price increases took weeks to fully materialize. This unprecedented rate of escalation has left government agencies scrambling to implement emergency measures that were designed for gradual crises, not overnight economic earthquakes. Behind closed doors, America's refinery system is facing an existential threat that few consumers understand. US refineries along the northern border were specifically engineered to process Canadian heavy crude oil, with billions invested in specialized equipment that simply cannot process other types of petroleum without extensive modifications. Industry experts estimate these refineries would need 18 to 24 months and over $40 billion in retrofitting costs to process alternative crude sources. Time and money that simply isn't available in the current crisis. The immediate job market impact is devastating. In the Midwest alone, over 38,000 energy sector jobs are already on the chopping block, with secondary manufacturing positions estimated to exceed 120,000 in the next 60 days if the situation continues. Economic analysts from Goldman Sachs have warned this represents merely the visible edge of a much larger employment crisis that could ultimately affect up to 2.3 million Americans across multiple sectors. So why has Canada suddenly blocked this crucial $103.3 billion oil lifeline? The answer traces directly to the escalating trade war initiated by Trump's administration. After imposing punishing tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum and agricultural products, the final straw came when Trump threatened Canada's automotive sector with a 25% border tax. In a nationally televised address, Prime Minister Mark Carney delivered the statement that shocked international markets. No amount of economic pressure will make Canada abandon its sovereignty or its dignity. Today we demonstrate that Canada will not be bullied. What many Americans don't realize is just how dependent their energy infrastructure has become on Canadian resources. The shocking truth is that Canadian oil isn't just another import source. It represents 60% of all US oil imports. This dangerous dependency created a vulnerability that energy security experts have been warning about for years, but their concerns were repeatedly dismissed by successive administrations focused on short-term economic gains rather than strategic independence. The situation exposes America's strategic blind spot in taking Canadian energy cooperation for granted. Unlike other trading relationships, the integrated North American energy market was built on decades of mutual trust and regulatory alignment that's now unraveling at breathtaking speed. Canada has already begun negotiations with European and Asian partners, eager to secure long-term access to its vast oil reserves, potentially creating permanent shifts in global energy flows that would leave American consumers permanently paying premium prices. Quick pause. What are your thoughts on Canada's decision to block $103 billion in oil exports to the US? Is this a justified response to Trump's tariffs or an economic misstep? Leave your comments below. I'm eager to hear your perspectives. If you find this analysis insightful, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe. Your support helps us keep bringing you critical updates on important global issues. Trump's meltdown: how presidential panic is tanking markets and trust. Those decades of mutual trust in energy relations didn't just collapse, they exploded in spectacular fashion inside the White House Situation Room. When Trump first received news of Canada's oil blockade, staffers witnessed something they never expected: a president completely unprepared for crisis management. The meltdown that followed has since triggered market volatility that threatens to push America toward what the Federal Reserve now calls a highly probable recession. Inside, sources described the initial presidential response as unlike anything they had witnessed before. Trump's first reaction wasn't a measured assessment of the situation, it was outright denial. He reportedly refused to believe Canada would take such decisive action, dismissing briefings from energy advisors as fake news until market data made the reality impossible to ignore. When denial failed, Trump pivoted to his comfort zone aggressive trade tactics that demonstrated a fundamental misunderstanding of the crisis. He immediately threatened 100% tariffs on Canadian automobiles, a move that economic advisors warned would only escalate tensions while doing nothing to restore vital oil supplies. This knee-jerk reaction revealed how unprepared the administration was for Canada's strategic countermove. The market response was swift and brutal. Instead of calming investor fears, Trump's erratic behavior sent the Dow Jones into freefall, plummeting 850 points in a single devastating trading session. The tech-heavy Nasdaq fell even harder, shedding 3.1% as investors rushed to protect their assets from what many analysts now describe as policy-induced market chaos. Even more telling was the stunning reversal from Fox News, normally Trump's media fortress. Commentators who had previously championed his aggressive trade policies turned against him, with one Fox News reporter bluntly stating on air, "These policies are throwing the market into chaos and putting the US at risk of a recession." The network's surprising about-face underscores just how damaging Trump's response has been, even among his most reliable supporters. What followed next can only be described as policy whiplash. First came threats to withdraw from NATO, apparently believing this would somehow pressure Canada. Then a temporary lifting of selected tariffs, followed by their reimposition just days later. This erratic pattern has created paralyzing uncertainty for businesses already struggling with energy supply disruptions. The Federal Reserve has responded by elevating their recession probability forecast to 65% by 2025, specifically citing trade policy uncertainty as the primary factor. This sobering assessment from America's central bank signals that the economic damage from Trump's mishandling of the crisis could extend far beyond immediate energy concerns. Perhaps most emblematic of the administration's communication failure was Trump spokeswoman Karoline Leavitt's disastrous media appearance. Attempting to reframe punishing tariffs as a tax cut, she was immediately challenged by a Fox News reporter who fired back. Have you ever paid a tariff? The reporter then explained what economists have long understood. Tariffs don't punish foreign countries, they hit American businesses and consumers directly. The exchange went viral, further undermining confidence in the administration's economic strategy. Meanwhile, Alberta, Canada's largest oil producer, isn't waiting for resolution. Energy Minister Brian Jean confirmed the province is looking at more opportunities to get more barrels off our borders besides the United States. These aren't idle threats. Active discussions are already underway with South Korea, Japan, and European nations eager to secure stable energy partnerships. The timing couldn't be worse for American refineries. Trump's recent actions against Venezuela, revoking Chevron's production license that brought in 210,000 barrels per day of heavy crude, has Gulf Coast refineries desperate for exactly the type of heavy crude that Canada supplies. Canadian oil had been the perfect substitute for Venezuelan grades, making Canada's supply disruption even more devastating. Shipping analysts report increased interest in seaborne exports from northern Pacific ports toward Asia, suggesting Canada is already redirecting oil flows that once went exclusively to American markets. While some Canadian crude would continue flowing to the US under a 10% tariff scenario, industry experts warn that losing even a portion of the 4 million barrels per day would create permanent supply challenges for American consumers. As we wrap up this crisis analysis, it's clear we're witnessing a pivotal moment in North American relations. Canada isn't just temporarily flexing its muscles, it's completely reshaping its energy future. Alberta officials have explicitly stated they're looking in every direction right now, except the United States, for energy partnerships. What makes this situation truly alarming is Canada's strategic pivot toward Asia-Pacific markets. They're actively building new pipeline infrastructure to the Pacific coast, targeting China, Japan, and South Korea as stable alternatives to American dependency. This calculated diversification strategy serves a dual purpose, reducing vulnerability to US trade pressures while establishing stronger economic and political ties across multiple continents. The harsh reality? This Canadian energy relationship may never return to what Americans once took for granted. That's today's update on this unfolding crisis. Thank you for joining me for this important discussion. For more breaking developments and detailed analysis, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Stay informed, and we'll see you in the next report.